So let's wait just 1 or 2 minutes to start officially.
Yeah. Well, you know, Brazilians and time, something complicated, yeah?
I think in South Europe also it's the same. We always arrive a little bit late.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Gabriela. I was only in my computer. Now I have a camera too.
Great. Thanks, David. It's good to see you. Put a face on the voice, yeah? It's always good. Gisela will be staying with us to the end, yeah?
Yes.
Great. Thanks, Gisela.
Usually we do our Desis at on Wednesdays, but it was hard for you, and so for all the rest of the Desis Café, they know it's on Wednesday. But...
Yeah, but actually it was misunderstanding because of the date. We got the wrong day, and then everybody arranges to. Anyway, it's coming, and that's fine.
Yeah, that's. So I think we probably we can start. So, hello everyone. For some of you, it's good morning. For others, it's good afternoon. It depends where are you seeing this Desis Café. I missed the last 2 Desis Café, but it is good to be back. So for now, I welcome you to the 13th Desis Café, and we will fly from the last one that was in Finland to Brazil this time. As some of you already know, the concept behind this idea is to make the Desis Café a virtual and also a very informal place where every Desis lab can meet and talk informally about the activities, the research they are going through. So this gathering is all about fostering meaningful connections within the Desis community and to facilitate the exchange of insights on best practices, on challenges and impactful initiatives, or just to have a coffee together and chat about life as friends do when they join for a coffee. So I'm very happy with the interest from so many labs in hosting these events. Thanks again to all the Desis labs that have already hosted a Desis Café. And I want to thank all of you that showed interest for the next sessions. We will get in touch soon to schedule everything. And if you want to host also a Desis Café, please step forward and we will be back to you. I would also like to thank Rita Engler and her team for hosting this Desis Café. And I hope today we have the opportunity to learn more about the projects they are developing in Minas Gerais in Brazil at the CEDTec Design and Technology Study Center. I will have to leave earlier, but please enjoy your coffee, and I will give the floor now to Rita to be the host. I hope we have a very fruitful session. So Rita, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Well, good morning or good afternoon, maybe even good evening. I don't know where you are now. We are very happy to have you here today. And we are going to present some of the works we are doing here in Brazil nowadays. Some of our students that were volunteered to present their work today are going to be are here. And we are going to present something. They made a video because some of them are not very fluent in English. So I thought they will be more comfortable making videos to show you than presenting it right away because it would be more complicated. And we decided together that we are going to start with 3 videos that were made by some of our undergrad students, and these were made in one of our courses that were a project that we did together with a Desis lab from London, from the UAL, and we did it on the subject of design against crime. And it was interesting because they worked together with the students from London. It was a little bit of complicated because of the barrier of the language and everything, but we all had an issue with the crime, and this was, well, what can we do for help women, because all over the world this is an issue. Yeah, women do not feel comfortable, and there is always some kind of thing going on. And so what we're going to do is that we are going to show you first these 3 videos that were made by these groups, and they did is that they were at the university and they could see that there was something going on even at our university, which mostly for women. And even though the women were not feeling comfortable, they were afraid of some things. And so that were those solutions that they thought that could help the women feel more comfortable at our university. So by that, yeah, because this was a kind of joint thing that we did with the London, and it was presented for the students in London, and they give their opinions and everything. So I think it's an idea of things that we could be doing together as a Desis network, that working together is good also, and it's something that it's possible to be doing even if we are far away. So Gabriela, if you could start. We are not hearing anything. We are without audio. I think you have to put it again. There is no audio, Gabi.
Okay, I will try again. I did the same thing the last time. I will let me see.
Something you say, you were tell.
Now you listen?
Yeah, we're listening. That's fine.
Okay.
Have you, woman, ever felt alone? Have you ever been in class and even though you had something to say, you were too afraid to say it?
Have you ever been afraid of doing something just because of the judgment of others?
Even in spaces where they should feel safe, like in our universities, the fear is one of the feelings that is constant in women's lives. According to Kippendorf, a social scientist, the perception is always real, even if later it turns out to be an illusion. So even if the university guarantees some types of protection, it became clear through a survey that 80.58% of the women there have felt afraid, belittled, invalidated, or silenced, where 55.3% of women stopped posting on social media because of the fear of judgment, 52.4% stopped themselves from saying something because of the fear of reprisal, 42.7% felt belittled, 38.8% have been through some situation where they were interrupted or silenced by a professor or colleague, and 34.95% had an opinion or behavior ridiculed and attributed to hormonal issues. Our problem question for this project was, how can we make women feel confident to get through social pressures? and, through that, feel less vulnerable. We took into account the concept of eyes on the street from Jane Jacobs and Jane Gale, where they state that the best way of keeping the streets safe is by raising the urban looks, meaning people looking at people. Nonetheless, with the security issue we want to work with, it isn't just about physical security. Our proposal is to encourage a sense of community between the students, where the looks will not be simply seen, but form of support, for them to feel safe expressing their opinions, defending their ideals, and walking comfortably in the university, and living. As a proposal, we intend to create the group Women of the School of Design, which will aim to create effective relationships that promote a sense of community where women can feel welcome to talk about their problems and ask for help. Debate topics of self-esteem, creating a conversation network where women can share their feelings and experience with the other members. For this, we intend to create a semi-annual calendar with fortnightly events that promote connections, debates, and awareness. The events will be designed to have three sections. The first, a playful part that will attract women and make the environment more relaxed. Then a conversation with an expert who discusses the topic, and by the end, a moment for a snack that stimulates strengthening the connection between women. For example, a workshop of self-makeup where afterwards the students have a conversation where they discuss how the concept of beauty is built, ending with a coffee break or going out to a bar. For now, our proposal ends here, but we hope that it grows and prospers, becoming articles, research, contests, and more. And in addition to make them feel safe, it will open spaces for the students, turning to a network who inspires other universities to replicate the group, strengthening and valuing women.
Okay, thank you, Gabi. So this was the first one. What would you prefer? Would you like the three to see the three solutions first, and then we comment about the three, or would you like to see each one and then and comment each of them?
I think it would be interesting to see the three projects and then maybe compare and think a little bit. I'm not sure.
Okay, good. Gabi, so could you just put the two others through?
In our Design for Crime Prevention course, we learned that each area of social action can promote ways and solutions to prevent crime. After collecting information with the survey, we reached more than 100 responses, and we noticed that our colleagues feel invisible with the lack of information and without being able to report in the various situations of violence, whether they be harassment, verbal aggression, persecution, or bullying, increasing the victims' insecurity when expressing their conditions. So we decided to look for a solution, and we found the NAI. The NAI is the Student Support Nucleus, a wing body that refers students to health, psychological, pedagogical, and or legal support when necessary. We saw that this nucleus was not known by the majority of students, and therefore our project is focused on its dissemination so that it can be served as support for victims of violence at the university. Night management offered support for our solution as they recognized the lack of demand for students and therefore would be beneficial for all. Thinking about a type of publish that was clear and intuitive, our team chose to create posters with QR code. The image will call the victim's attention to scan the code, and that way they will be forwarded to a page with information about the night. Then the victim could seek the help they need and would receive full assistance from the support center through consultation and conversation with an appropriate professional. The conversations would take place privately so that the victims would feel comfortable enough to voice their complaints and allegations without fear of new threats. Finally, such actions would result in reduce or eliminate situations of violence that occurs with women within our university being denounced collectively and effectively.
Good morning, everyone. I am Elaine and here to present our crime prevention design project for the UEMG of School of Design in Belo Horizonte, Brazil. Also, women make up the majority of the students at the School of Design. They are the ones facing the greatest violence which directly impacts their personal and academic development and can ever hinder the completion of their studies. That's why it's urgent for the university to shift in duties and work alongside the students to achieve gender equality, contributing to greater security in their education and lives. Insecurity and fear of exposure, we are the major issues identified in the research we conduct. Our goal is to take actions that instruct women on how to handle cases of violence. We will work on two fronts: harm reduction and awareness. Awareness will provide women with tools to deal with different types of violence. Furthermore, it will serve as means to present possible aggressors with the consequence of their actions. Our aim is to contribute to a future where the actions are no longer necessary. Unfortunately, at the present moment, they sure are. Fear is a constant company in the lives of women at the School of Design. Therefore, our project consists of lectures on women's rights and self-defense workshop, which will be over a span of 2 days during the break between class, allowing students to participate and become more familiar with this research. We'll have the assistance of the Professor Viviane Ramos from the Civil Police of Minas Gerais, who will conduct a workshop of personal defense. Additionally, we will hold talks by Dr. Isabela Melo Pedesoli de Oliveira, a lawyer and president of the Commission for Combating Violence Against Women of the OAB-MG, and Maíra Mairinque de Castro Garcia, a lawyer and previous vice president of the OAB-MG Women's Commission. They will speak on topics such as freedom of expression online, violence, and support for women. Thank you for your attention, and we are counting on all of you to participate.
Obrigada, Gabi. Thank you, Gabriela. Okay, so these were the 3 solutions that the group presented that were presented in London. There were some issues, some people liked it, some others not, but those were the solutions that our group found to fight violence against women in our university. Any comments? What would you do in your countries differently? What do you think would work for you or would not work for you? No comment? What do you do in China, for example? Melissa, were you trying to say something?
So I think that, first of all, thank you for sharing with us the solutions that your students developed. I feel like something that caught my eye is that in general, the 3 projects were different, but they were kind of together creating an ecosystem, because one is focused on kind of creating a community among the ones that among the students, so they kind of have an informal group where they can share their, and they have a safety space, but then they are also accompanied by the second group was kind of a more formal office that could support them on their development. So it's kind of the institutional part complemented with the third project that had the research part. So I felt like the three of them, despite being individual projects, they work together as a future ecosystem for safety in your school. So I felt like they could work together really well in one singular project. So I think that was really interesting. In our university, I feel like and maybe safety, of course, we have also issues with gender equality of safety, but I feel like maybe it's in a different way that you have in Minas Gerais, in Portugal, and in Lisbon in particular. We do not feel that as much in our school. So of course we are struggling. We have some questions about how to make sure that women also grow on their career, and even in schools of the students clubs that we usually have more men on representing the students clubs, and the students are also gathering to try to fight this, but it's not as focused on safety, because usually we feel very safe here and there is not a question. So it's interesting to see how your students feel in the school and how education has such an important impact on their development too. So thank you for sharing. For me, it was very eye-opening.
Thank you, Beatriz. Oh, well, I can tell you that they all were based, first we did a survey in the whole university, and the 3 projects were based on the same survey that came from the students of the university. And maybe that's why the projects were complementary, because they were all based on the same data. Anything else? So maybe we could move on. Suellen worked with me. We did discuss this.
As you want to say something.
Okay, thank you.
I simply retain myself from talking always because, well, I don't want to overwhelm all the discussion with my thoughts. But first of all, I say that these are really seriously, very interesting. And for me, at least, in the panorama of the normal traditional Desis lab activity are quite new. I mean, the topic per se, unfortunately, is not new. But the fact that there is a school in which these topics is taken, and you try to transform it in projects, and also with this kind of activist attitude, well, it's very interesting. Probably it could be. No, I have a question before going on. But these 3 projects, and I agree with Beatrice, they are very well composed as a kind of ecosystem, are being done in the frame of the courses, or they were totally, or they were outside from it. So they have been recognized as one of the project activity in the school, or they are something that the student did outside the normal design activity.
They started in the class, but for example, next week we are having another, there is one lawyer coming again to make this speech for the students to talk about the rights of the women, what they can do, to whom they have to address. So it's going on, and it's like the vice director, she personally took responsibility for the ones who want to talk about the NAI and how the students could make it more visible for the students so that they could go for it. So it started in a class, and then it grew out of the class, and it grew to the whole school, not to the whole university, because as you know, our university has multiple campuses. So it is on our school, on our campus. It did not go to the whole university, but for our campus, yes.
But still, I have not really understood one thing. Of course, we could have seen and discussed these 3 projects, these 3 activities, as a kind of activism of a group of women inside the school that decided to do this work to spread awareness and fight against crime. And this could be accidentally in the school of design, but it could be something that should be done, and it's very important to be done. My interest was when they started in the school, this kind of activity has been formally recognized as, so they had the credits in the school for this work as a design class.
Yes, it was a design class. It was a class of design against crime. So they should take a project. And as in London, they were already working with violence against women. It was a project there. So they decided to go through the same theme because it is important for us also. We also have violence against women. And that's how we took this theme, and that's why we worked with it.
Very good, and I'm very happy to listen to that because, as I was saying before, it will be in any case very positive and good if this kind of projects have been developed totally outside from a group of girls that was interested to develop this topic. But for me, at least for the sake of what we are doing here, because we are a lab that work in the school, also to change the idea of what is design and what is the role of the schools. So the fact that these projects have been recognized also officially as a design is very important. So I do not want now to take all the time, but I can assure you, and probably Rita knows, at least the one that are not so young knows, that has been a time in which something like this would not be recognized as design. Because people would say, yes, but where is design here? And we know that this is design too. And probably one thing that could be interesting, maybe you did it, but it could also be interesting to be said, is to, in some way, to extract from what you did, in which way it is designed. Of course, there is something that is evident in any case, if it is, if you have communication in your school, these are three fantastic projects of communication. Communication using different tools, and the student, while they were doing this political action, they were also learning how to communicate, how to use some tools, how to make some videos. So this is very basic and in some way positive, but obvious. You see something, it has been communicated. It has been communicated also in a sensitive way. So it's for sure, by the point of view of communication design, it's an exercise, also communication design. But it's also an exercise, in my view, of service design, because in some way it was not only to communicate an idea, stop, but was to make something to help the other students to meet, to organize, to make something happen. So at least it could be judged for its value as communication design and as service design. And maybe there is also something else, but I stop here. And so I find that, okay, I'm repeating myself. I find the fact that it has been recognized as design is a very good thing, and congratulations if you see, given that you succeed. And finally, but this is very short, I'm very happy to discover this kind of transversal link, as in your case, in between your school and the UAL and the Centre San Martin in particular. And because sometimes for where I am and where Teresa is, we don't see, of course, everything that happens in the net. And this is good because the net is sufficiently big that we cannot know everything that is happening. And the reason to having this cafe is one of the reasons is also to be conscious of what is happening. And in your case, I don't know how you get in touch with them. But in any case, given that there are two labs that work together, I'm very happy that this happened. Okay.
Yeah. It means that we are growing, that we do not need, that we can do our own connections, yeah, which is good. I like to.
The network is a network. There is no center. The network is like this. So things should happen independently from the center. No center for the support that is given by the website for the international coordination. Okay, thank you so much. Let's go on.
Thank you, Ezio. Leo, you raise your hand.
Pablo, I think that Pablo was.
But I think Leo was first and then it was Pablo. That's why I'm asking Leo. But if Leo has okay, so Pablo, please.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Great work, I think. My name is Pablo.
Pablo? I'm not hearing you anymore.
He's frozen.
Yeah, Pablo, you're frozen. Hello.
He's lost signal, Professor.
Let me see the chat. No. Well. Let's move on, because the next one is Suelen. It's also about design against crime. That's how we ordered it. So maybe Pablo can make his question later on. What do you think? And then while we move on, he can come back and tell what he thinks. So Gabi, could you put on Suelen? Gabriela? Presta atenção de novo, Gabi. No sound. Would you try it again?
Okay, 1 minute. Okay, 1 minute. Okay, 1 minute.
Hello, Desis team. I'm Suelen Costa from CEDTec Brazil, and I'll show you my recent work. Preventing Violence Amongst Pupils by Ian Medeiros, Suelen Costa, Cláudia Rodrigues, and Rita Engler. The United Nations Brazil defines peace, justice, and strong institutions as the 16th goal of sustainable development. Strengthen relevant national institutions, including through international cooperation, to build capacity at all levels, particularly in developing nations, to prevent violence and tackle terrorism and crime. The objective: to plan, implement, and assess actions to prevent violence amongst pupils. Subject of study: a state primary school in Belo Horizonte where cases of violence occurred amongst students aged 11 to 14. The school is situated in a deprived and violent neighborhood. The method: 2 workshops to produce violence prevention posters, followed by the creation of a mural on the inner side of a school wall. First workshop: students were encouraged to reflect on the violence they suffered and perpetrated. The second workshop: the student produced letterpress posters. And this is a part of the mural created by a student under the guidance of 2 artists, Destro and Luisa Santos. Outcomes: the workshops played an important role in a broader initiative implemented at the school. After the workshops, we observed some students taking proactive stances against violence. Yet, this was only the beginning. Preventing violence in school requires continuous, varied, and interlinked actions that must encompass the entire school community. So, for more detail, you may ask us by email. Thank you very much.
Okay, So this was Professor Swelling. So she's also working on the same line of design against crime, but this was a total different approach. We were working in. Oh, Pablo is back. Thank you, Pablo. So sorry, but as you froze, so we decided to put on another video and waiting, hoping that you would come back. We're happy to see you back. So would you like to make a comment now?
I'm so sorry. That's the modern
That
times.
happens everywhere.
Yeah, I lost the internet now. I'm from my phone now connected. Okay, I
Okay.
have that issue about the community, about the others ones, you know. The team of students, but we look at the 3 projects, they are very tight, very strong, but I miss the other part of the students, you know, the silent ones. You know, I have 2 daughters. They are both they are very young, they're 14 and 12, but they are very quiet, and they rarely are in these places of they have to do things. So how this type of project do you think integrate the other ones? You know, even all the male population there, how can we think how to embrace everyone in this type of project? That's my comment question, you know, about how can we get to everyone together in this type of efforts.
But it was interesting because the male students, they were also committed to help, and some of them sometimes they were kind of, well, yeah, that's true, and kind of surprised that there were things that we say that would make women feel uncomfortable. They were not aware because they were used of doing that. That they were kind of, but does this bother you? Like, oh, we didn't know. That's okay.
Yeah, that's why I was commenting, because many times we men, we don't know about this kind of problem. Now we have, in my family, we are 3 men, okay? I'm the youngest. Now I have 2 young daughters, and the world is different for me, you know? So in that point of view, integrate the rest of the community. And also I see the difference because I work with NGOs, and I work around, I've been in Ethiopia and stuff. We see the real big gap between men and women. It's enormous. So integrate the community from all the community in this kind of effort it's a main thing. I think it's my humble opinion. Thank you. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Well, maybe we should move. I don't know, Gisela, do we have an hour or an hour and a half usually?
Hour and a half. We have time.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you. But anyway, as Maria is not here, Gabriela, could you go to Josana? Let's go to the ones who are here, because then it's nicer, then they can answer any questions that people have. And then if we still have time, we go for the projects that, with the students that are not here, okay? Okay?
Okay, are you okay?
Good morning, my name is Josana. Thank you for the opportunity to share my research and to learn from everyone here. The study I'm working on is about the recent occupation of empty storefronts at Mercado Novo, New Market, a traditional market in Belo Horizonte. The occupation, called Velho Mercado Novo or Old New Market in English, began in 2018. What's interesting about the study is the social innovation through design that enables people to see the value in the old, in memory and in history. Industrial culture preaches the obsolescence of everything and everyone. Our current moment of unsustainability demands attention to scarce resources and reusability. Mercado Novo is located near Raul Soares Square. The market is very close to the affluent area of the city, but the surrounding area is more accessible. It has recently gained a new public due to the urban art and to the new businesses in old buildings like those at Mercado Novo. What is curious is that there are no signs of gentrification. When it comes to Velho Mercado Novo, the appreciation of the old explains the permanence of all vendors at Mercado Novo and the surrounding area. The disrepair is visible in buildings in the area. The ground floor of the market has cheap local food restaurants and produce stalls. The building's modern architecture is evident in upper floors, especially the concrete structure, and the Cobogó ceramic facade. The rustic and precarious appearance, as well as the history of very varied yet traditional occupation of the building, is of interest to the Velho Mercado Novo design initiative. On the first floor, there are a variety of print shops, stores selling signs, musical instruments, uniforms, and more. The occupation of the second floor's empty storefronts began in 2018. Its design strategy was the creation of a statute to value the history of the place and incentivize the upkeep of all its traits, even the existing disrepair. According to the ideas of this statute, business must value the local culture and traditions through their products and their spaces. Many pieces of furniture and objects were reused, especially ones from old businesses. At least one product at each establishment must be affordable. New vendors must use market products and services such as signs, uniforms, and graphic services. As the years went by, every day design choices fostered the growth of a community that attentive with extant life and capable of thinking up a future based on what's old. Today, old and new vendors share this space of many use, publics, and meanings. Thank you.
Oi, bom dia. Eu sou a Flávia Neves, eu sou estudante da UENG, da Universidade do Estado de Minas Gerais.
Gabriela. Okay. So, Josana, if you could open your mic. So Josana is here. She's a PhD student. So as you could see, she's working on the old market. Well, it's the new market, but it's an old market. She explained to you. So if you have any questions to her, how this is coming kind of fashion again, and it's a very interesting thing. You, Graudu, you want to make a question, please? Yeah, I think Mr. Du has raised his hand. Yon Grau Du. Maybe I'm mispronouncing your name.
Hi. Yeah, you're right. But I don't raise the questions. I guess it's not my questions.
Yeah, we're listening to you.
Yeah, I think I got no much questions about it because the workshop that they introduced, I think is really interesting, and they also mentioned like the uniforms, school uniforms, and the relationship of this, the whole environment. I feel like is, yeah, I think it's a really great point that I never think about that. Yeah. So I feel like it's, I'm just wondering how, like this kind of workshop that you're organize, how did you think about it before you're like organizing this kind of events? Is there any like other research that would be related, or they're just like different separated projects?
Okay, they are different projects. Each project belongs to a group of students or a different student. This project, for example, that you just heard right now, belongs to Josana. Josana is a PhD candidate. Yeah, this is going to become her PhD thesis. Yeah, and the first three ones were projects from students on a class of design against crime. The one just before Josana was the project with that Professor Swellen did with some of the students, also undergrad, also in a school. And so that's how it works. We are presenting different projects from different students, yes. They do not, but they all belong to the same lab that we work together with CEDTec lab, which is one of the labs that belong to the Desis network. Did I answer you? Is what you wanted?
Yeah, because it seems like a really big community, but they have some relation between each other, but they work like differently. So that I'm wondering, how it works.
Okay, so it works like a big network, but I think network, as you can explain better than me, because he is the one who created the network. So please, if you could explain that to Mrs. Du.
Well, maybe to explain what is a network, we can do another moment, because now we have to discuss about your work. The network simply happened because there have been already 15 years ago, several people that discovered that they were working in a similar way, approaching what we call social innovation. And afterward, it went on, and now it's, it's bigger, but also 15 years later, all the issues are different. Also, what is social innovation is not again the same that it was at the beginning. But I think that to talk in general about the network, we can talk, or you can search on the website. Here is interesting to try to know each other and to try to find possible link. This issue working on this public market, it's very interesting, and I've seen that it happens in many places in the world, that in the change of the cities, people discover that the public market at the same time have some difficulties, because at least for the one that I know, there are less people going to these kind of proximity shops, but at the same time, they are very important as a possible center. So they are switching from being only a place to go to make some shopping toward becoming a kind of cultural, social service center. And this is, it could be one of the most powerful strategy to try to regenerate a neighborhood. Afterward, of course, I have understood, but not so well, all the strategy. I've seen people going there and doing something, and I suppose that to have the people going there and doing something, you had to propose some micro project that was attracting for these people. And also, I think, even though you told it, but I've not understood, that when you start to do this kind of thing, there is a risk of what is called the gentrification that you also mentioned. So all the cases that I know, at the same time, it's a kind of paradox. When you try to improve the quality of life and the quality of the neighborhood's life in a part of the city, that is good, because it's good that people have a better life. At the same time, in the moment in which you create a better life, you start to have a substitution of the traditional inhabitants with new ones that come from other places. And I think that this is, today, when we do a project like this, we have a double project. One that is relatively clear, and is what to do to create a lively place, for instance, in the old municipal city public markets, and at the same time, how you do to try to avoid that in the moment that this process starts, you start also to push away the traditional people. Maybe you said something, but I've not got some, you have some strategy against the gentrification?
Yeah, thank you, Mazini. I try to speak in English. I'm not so good, but I think that it's very different from time out market. They didn't clean the space, so it is very precarious. The architecture is very rustic and old, and this thing makes people stay at the market. Old comerciantes, Rita, como que eu falo?
The salespeople.
Salespeople, the old salespeople, and the new public and the new comerciants. So they didn't clean. They didn't make one type of design. There are a lot of signs. There are a lot of styles of the stores, and the rustic place makes people stay. I think that the old is the great idea that they have to make people stay at the market. And the precarious and the, how can I say, se você puder me ajudar, Rita, a fiação aparente.
Tradition, actually, they keep the tradition, they keep the old things, and the old things become the new because they are not like they standardized things of the globalization. They just become what's used to be valued, what you would have in the past. Yeah. Things used to be at the our town has just 126 years, so it's not that old. So, but how it used to be 100 years ago, and they try to bring these things back, and that's what makes the charm of the market. Yeah, and that because it's different from what we have elsewhere. It's not a McDonald's; it's something else.
Yeah. E eles não fizeram ele ficar com uma cara de novinho, né?
They didn't want it to look like brand new. It had to look like it was used. It was there forever.
Oh, yes, but you are trying. This is a way to be attractive for many people, as probably all of us here. That kind of place is more attractive than a McDonald's. And therefore, in some way, we are, not me that I live to 12,000 kilometers away, but you are possible people that could find a flat nearby because this is becoming a more cool place. Because this is the way in which it happens. So the first one are the ones that are, as probably you, that could find very interesting to live in that place. And afterward, you start, you help a process to improve it. And afterwards, it became accessible and interesting also for people that is not so bohemian as it could be me, and so and so and so. So this is a very well-known project. So if you don't do something to try to avoid this kind of process, it happens. It happens everywhere. It happens.
Yeah, but in Brazil,
yeah.
Sorry. In Brazil, it's very different because we have, for example, in São Paulo, the area of Estação da Luz and Pinacoteca, the rich people don't like to go there because it's very precarious. It's very abandoned. There are a very big museum, but the people are not interested in this area. The area of Mercado Novo is the same case. Rich people doesn't like this area of the city. It's very near the center, but it's very difficult to go there.
Yes.
I think maybe in the future, but not now. A long future.
But now we have to go on, and I'm sure that you will do it at best. I only say there was also in Milano a neighborhood that I said it's so ugly that it will be never gentrified. But when it happened, there has been people making interesting things. It became a kind of cool place. And it's not that immediately arrive the people that do not like old and weird and maybe also not so clean places. Because the first arrive the artist, and after the artist arrive the designer and architects. And after the designer and architect arrive the old students, and afterward the others. And progressively, they change the place. And this is not so bad. So I am not completely against that something like this could happen if it brings, because otherwise the other solution is let's leave people live in the shit, because in this way it's sure that you will not have gentrification. But if you want to improve, it's obvious that something changes, some new people will arrive. The important thing in our experience is what the public, what the city can do, how to maintain for instance, the traditional shops, and not only to have the new ones, how to guarantee that some houses remain at an affordable price, and not that all the real estate grow. So what is needed are some intervention from the city that create condition in which avoid that all the area moves away and become homogeneously something else. The fact that some new inhabitant arrives could be also good. They bring some money, they bring some new ideas. So it's something that generates some dynamic. But the important thing is that it do not happen as it happened in many places, unfortunately, everywhere, and in Italy in particular, that you have an area that moved totally toward something that is not anymore the place where the people that are not rich can live. Okay, sorry, maybe this was too long, but it's one of the point on which also maybe we can discuss in another moment, because one of the issues which we now, I say we, meaning with my colleagues here in Italy, we are working, so I'm particularly sensitive to this point.
Okay, I really want. Thank you a lot.
Thank you. Your building is not, that building is interesting in some way.
Yeah.
It's really very, it's a very hard and very, but in any case, it's an interesting building. It's not a banal building.
Well, next time you come to Belo Horizonte, we are going to make a tour with you there, so you can get to know the building, and you can have a coffee there and something typical from here. This next work we are presenting is from Mariana Lactin. This is very technical, but it's just to show you that we do works, pretty much we work with social innovation, but as my background is from engineering, so we also have something very technical going on in our CEDTec lab. So Gabi, if you could just present Mariana, because Flavia is not here either, so we are going, as we do not have that much of time, we are going to present the works from the ones that are here, and then if we have time, we present the ones that did not come, okay?
My name is Mariana Lectin. Today I give you a presentation about the application of niobium oxide, functionalite, flat fabrics for smart textiles. This study's objective was to apply 3-niobium oxide on cotton and flex textile surface, and to analyze the change in their properties. I use these materials: 3-niobium oxide samples of different chemical purity, 2 fabrics, 1 cotton and the other flex. The application of niobium oxide in the screen printing process was carried out as follows. First, wash the fabric. Second, prepare the paste for application with acrylic resin and the niobium compounds. Third, position the fabric on the electromagnetic table. Fourth, place the screen on the fabric and activate the electromagnet. Fifth, place the fabric on the laboratory stand frame. The methodology consists of identification tests of impregnation niobium oxide in textiles such as optical microscope, Raman spectroscopy, X-ray fluorescence, UV spectrophotometry, thermographic analysis. Today, we'll take a quick look at the result of 3 of those tests. In the optical microscope images, niobium oxide were identified in all impregnated fabric. In the X-ray test of niobium oxide in the base of both cotton and flax fabrics showed similar peaks that demonstrated the presence of niobium in the impregnated fabrics. UVV shows are curves of total ultraviolet absorption in niobium oxide. You can see that in the graphics below. All treated fabrics show absorption of ultraviolet rays. Unlike in treated fabrics, it shows reflectance in the ultraviolet wave range. After this process, the impregnation of niobium oxide on the textile surface was activated, except for the 3H samples. There is a needed to analyze the fabric's functionality and study new process optimization of impregnation and durability among other. These functionalist fabrics present high potential in different areas of applicability, such as UVV's protection. Thanks to CAPS and these companies, and thank you for your attention.
Good morning, everyone.
Okay, so this is Mariana work. As I told you, it's like a technical one. I know it's not what this group is mostly interested, but if anyone has a question, I think what's important that's Mariana is working with this like intelligent fabrics and change to make fabrics more useful to people. Raissa, you want to say something?
No.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mariana, for presenting. So let's move on. Let's go to Juliana then, because we do not have that much of time.
My name is Juliana Guimarães, and I am a doctoral student at the State University of Minas Gerais, under the supervision of Professor Rita Endler. Our research is titled Design Thinking Strategies in Senior Entrepreneurship, a contribution to the business structuring of entrepreneurs plus 50. Population aging is a global phenomenon. According to data from Agência Brasil, out of Brazil's 210 million citizens, 37.7 million are elderly individuals aged 60 or over. Of these, 18.5% are still employed, and 75% contribute to their family's income. Unfortunately, it's not uncommon for job opportunities to dwindle after the age of 50. One way to address this situation is by creating job opportunities through senior entrepreneurship, which refers to entrepreneurial activities undertaken by individuals over 50 years of age. This initiative aims to provide these individuals with the chance to achieve new personal goals and increase their supplementary income. Therefore, the primary objective of this research is to comprehend senior entrepreneurship from a design perspective, with the aim of identifying and systematizing guidelines and tools that facilitate the structuring of business for individuals over 50 years of age and consequently enhance their quality of life. This aligns with the views of Ezio Manzini, who defines social innovation as the quest for solutions to social problems and the creation of new opportunities. Thank you very much for your attention and for this opportunity.
Okay. So Juliana is here. If you have any questions for her, I could say that she started this work because this is for me. Yeah, I am pretty much over 50, so I'm very much interested in what I have to do next. Any questions for Juliana?
Yeah, I have some, a little
Yes,
bit
Pablo?
as a comment, actually. Normally, the young ones see us like the older ones. Ask, we don't know anything, you know? So we don't know about design thinking. Actually, we know, but how you approach for this side of the new entertainer, you know what I'm trying to say, the new innovation, the old one. How you have the approach for this one, these entrepreneurs that they have lost his job, you know, lost their work, they've been working like for 20 years and something, and they lost the main thing they give them meaning of be, you know. In that case, how you approach, or how you think, how can we approach the change of that old man? This, we are not old, but how can we change that mind? Because it's hard to restart the things. It's very hard. I live by myself. That's the case. So what is your point of view, or everyone? What's the point of view of how can we impact these people have changed their life in this point, in this point of the life? I'm sorry. And it's that clear on odd. Yeah.
Yes.
More or less.
Yes, more or less. I think I can answer.
Okay.
But I think I'm going to answer by adding a comment. I was watching. I don't know if it was. I think it was the newspaper. I don't remember, or if it was a paper. But anyway, it is interesting because sometimes people, after retirement, they start this project. It's an opportunity for them to start working with like a passion or something they really enjoy. Sometimes we, during our life, we are working in an activity, but it's not really what we want. So it's kind of a chance for them to see maybe a hobby as something they can use for, make some kind of money, something like that. So I think we can approach to these people by showing them that their knowledge, all their knowledge, we can still use this knowledge. Because after like retirement, or if a person like that is like fired, it's difficult to feel, that we still have a place in the market. So one of the goals here is to show these people they know a lot, and we can use this knowledge.
Yeah. I was commenting about that because I'm sorry, but that's a topic that is very interesting for me. Have a huge interest about it. Because I have friends from Chile. They get fired, and in a moment, for sometimes months, even years, they lost the way. They get depressed, and so the point of view of change the mind of someone who's very sad about it's like lost someone, when you lost your everyday job.
It's like a grieving process.
Yes, that's the word. That's the word. It's a grieving process. So this topic, do you take, Juliana? I think is very, very, very important because many of them also are very lonely. When you lost, because you are a chain, So in this moment, you have to be embraced for someone, and this kind of project embrace the people. Thank you. I don't want to speak anymore.
Okay, thank you, Pablo. Thank you very much.
Any other? Yes.
No,
As
but,
you?
Thank you, Juliana. Also, in the name of the category of the old ones. No, of course, it's interesting. It's the first time that I met somebody in Brazil that is dealing with old people, because you are still a population that have a demographic pyramids in which the young are more than the elderly. But maybe you know, I come from Italy, and Italy and Japan are the one that have the oldest percentage of the population. So practically our pyramid has been totally reversed. There are much more elderly than young. So the issue about dealing with elderly is relatively frequent by many points of view. Your one is a very precise and focused, but there are so many different issues that have to be dealt with. And if you or there are a group of people in Brazil that start to focus on this topic, it's to be enlightened, because it's clear that at least if nothing special happens, the change in the demographic structure is going to change everywhere. So also in Brazil and also in Africa, maybe in 40 years in Africa. But now it's very clear how in the society happens that the people start to reduce the number of kids that they do. And in itself, okay. No, I want that. So this is only to say that I think that it's a very important issue. It's a very important issue also in the place where at the moment it seems not to be the main issue. But if I can help in going on, there is one thing that you have expressed the social issue, and with a certain sensitivity, but I have not understood where is the proposal, so the design. So until now, what you say, I don't know at which point you are of your work, but you have defined the problem. And for what I understand, I totally agree with you that it's a problem in that way that you say. And so what? and so what, especially by a design point of view, because you could have a so what not by a design point of view, giving some laws, some public intervention that has not to be, everything has to be designed, but in any case, not so clearly designed as is expected by somebody working in the School of Design. So at the moment, I feel a little bit missing this part. Another point that I want to observe is that it's in between the many social problems that are related to the elderly population, this one is relatively precise, and it's exactly as you said. But when you look inside it, it's again open up to many different conditions, because you was mentioning putting together a hobby and making a little bit of money is for a certain category of people. Maybe they have also a pension, but not everybody has a pension. Or being middle class or being very poor is not the same thing. And so how important is the fact that you could gain some money? It's meaningful. And so I think that you can also maintain so open all the elderly people more than 50 or 60 years. But inside that, you have to see some subcategory with different problems. And also, I think that if you want to develop a strategy to bring some more entrepreneurial activity, to change the entrepreneurial attitude and be capable to invent their own second part of the life, well, I think that it's obvious what I'm saying, but it's quite different if for you it's only a hobby and a way to rediscover that you are capable to do something, and maybe the money is not so important. Or on the other side, if the real problem is the money, and afterward, maybe if it is a good work, is good, but the real problem is to bring money in the family. But this is very obvious. I'm sure that you have already thought about this without the need for me to tell it.
Thank you very much, Professor. Yes, the research is in the beginning, so we are still trying to connect some points and trying to improve all this work. But thank you very much for your comments, Professor Ezio, and also Pablo. Thank you for sharing your experience and your friends' experience too. So yes, the money is not the only problem, right? Because with retirement situations, for example, here in our country, the salary is it's not the same. So other issues start to, other issues come from family, especially because, like I said, 75% of these people, they help their family income. So even money to buy food, medicine, right? So this is like a big problem. And here in this research, we are going to try to help these people somehow using design thinking to create these new opportunities, especially with this entrepreneurship activity. So thank you very much.
Thank you to you.
Okay. Well, thank you, Juliana. Gabi, if you could put your presentation now, please.
Gabriela Pires. I'm PhD student at the University of the State of Minas Gerais, and now I will talk about my study where I combine tourism and design.
What is design? What is tourism? For most of people who are not expert in these fields, these concepts may seem superficial and limited. Design is often associated only with aesthetics and creating of beautiful objects. Tourism, on the other hand, is seen as mere entertainment. However, for those who deeply understand these fields, they know that they go far beyond the simplistic notions. Tourism, for example, is considered by the World Tourism Organization as an essential pillar for achieving sustainable development goals. It represents 10% of global GDP and generates 1 in every 10 jobs worldwide. Furthermore, it plays a fundamental role in promoting peace, as well as in preserving and enhancing our tangible and intangible heritage. As for design, it's essential as love in our lives. Things can be done without it, but when design is incorporated, everything is significantly improved. Especially today, where design operates in a realm of the intangible, such as service and experience design. It's become crucial for development in any field. That's why my research focuses on intersection of these two fields. I start from Klippendorf's premise that people act based on the meanings they attribute to things, and then function follows meanings, where I focus on emphasizing the importance of working on both concepts of functions and its applications to tourism. I also discuss the rationalist logic that put us in a dilemma. Should we choose between reason and emotion, discarding intangible functions? Design provides us an outlet that combines both, but in this analysis, there is a risk of neglecting functions. for culture because there is nothing in the world without functions. What has no functions ceases to exist. Due to this thinking that disregard the functions of the intangible, many cultures artifacts ceases to exist. Therefore, I choose to conduct a case study to understand the construction of meaning of a tourist artifacts. Based on knowledge of emotional design and service design, I conducted an analysis of industry projects and developed a tool to facilitate the development of experience in the sector, straining the culture and appreciation of intangible, ensuring that culture never loses its function. As the next step in my research, I plan to investigate the impact of design strategies on the perception of cultural elements in tourism and how this influences the function attributed to them. Together, design and tourism has the power to create enriching experiences that goes far beyond the superficial. It's in these intersections that I
Gabi? Ok. Gabriela, se você just turn off one of your gadgets. Okay. Right. Gabriela, so...
Eu acho que eu tô do celular e do computador e tava dando um eco.
Okay, so if you could...
Só deixa eu ver se eu consigo ouvir vocês agora. Não. Vocês conseguem me ouvir?
Eco, Gabi.
Agora vocês conseguem me ouvir?
Yeah, good.
Deixa eu aumentar o volume, que daí eu não consigo ouvir vocês direito.
Okay. Good. So could you just explain a little bit more, because you did not tell us on your video, what kind of experiences that you're going to actually do with tourism, so that people can understand more practically how do you intend to do that?
Eu não tô conseguindo ouvir vocês agora. Eu vou tentar botar na caixa de som.
Ok.
Um momento. Deixa eu ver. Pode falar para ver se eu consigo ouvir vocês?
Okay. Your video was quite nice, but would you be more, could you explain to us how you're really doing this? How you're going to make tourists more, how is this experience that you are presenting to people with design? Because I know, because I'm an advisor, but the others don't.
I am studying how the artifacts in tourism get in like value, how people see the things, because things like similar in different cultures, they have a different way of preservation, right? They have a different values. And in some cultures, the artifacts disappear because people don't see as a function things that have to value. My English not so good, so sometimes I think I will speak. I have to ask someone how to talk.
So things have different value in different cultures. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm studying how experience can be a way to improve the value of the artifact in the cultures that not have value perceived, because it's like análise, eu faço uma análise análoga entre experiências e artefatos.
So she wants to make an analysis between experience and artifacts. And how are you going?
I already did a class where I developed a tool, and the students applied to develop experience. But also I'm making a case of study, like I want to see how people see value in artifacts before I put some structures, design, and after. You probably try with cachaça, because it's a artifact in Brazil that have the value outside, but inside we don't see the value. Minas Gerais, okay, because here have a culture of drink this cheese bebida, I forgot bebida, but cheese drink. But in another place in Brazil, they don't use it to drink, so they have no value press. But they have for wine, and wine you learn to drink wine. So you can learn to drink cachaça, you can learn to appreciate other artifacts in our cultures and the other cultures too.
So you want to create an experience to put this drink, in this case the cachaça, in value, so that people could appreciate it more, who think that it is better. That's what you say?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, so just because we don't have that much of time, would you show us Flavia's video?
Yeah. 1 minute. I have to again in my computer.
Okay. So while she's doing that, she also make an undergrad class. We work with the students with this kind of tourism and sustainable tourism, and we use some of design tools to make the, people understand that tourism can be more sustainable and can be something that you can do, especially specific to help communities, small communities, to use this in a way that's sustainable, and that people can see value on that, well, simple things, and bringing people to enjoy it. Yeah, and that was really interesting, and seeing the value on these small things. And the students did some experience that were quite fine, and the students really start, oh, really, this can be a kind of tourism that people would go for that and pay for that. Why not? Yeah, and that was a really rich experience for the students.
Yeah, I think that I observed, like, and I put in my research, that when I told the students to change a situation, like a bad experience, in a good one, they know what to do. And when I say, now you create an experience with your cultural knowledge, they was like, I don't know, I don't have a cultural knowledge, but they have cultural knowledge, but they don't know that it's cultural. So it's very this is a thing I very important in my research. People don't recognize what is culture is. It maybe this is a way to go to show them what is culture, so they can improve and make a value, because if they don't know what these things is, this knowledge is the culture, maybe can cease to exist.
Okay.
I can put the flyers now.
Please, because I think we are on time and then we have to close it.
Okay.
Good morning, my name is Mariana Lectin.
Oh, you put Mariana.
Good morning, my name is...
Oi, bom dia. Eu sou a Flávia Neves, eu sou estudante da UENG, da Universidade do Estado de Minas Gerais, da Escola de Design. Sou estudante de doutorado, orientanda da Rita Engler, e a gente, desde 2014, a gente desenvolve um projeto chamado Librário. O Librário é uma tecnologia social, um método muito eficaz de divulgar amplamente a língua brasileira de sinais, a Libras, e, consequentemente, incluir as pessoas surdas que são sinalizantes. A gente desenvolve esse projeto em oficinas, cursos, palestras, em museus, universidades, a comunidade. A gente trabalha com dinâmicas lúdicas de jogos de baralho. Então, jogo da memória, jogo da pescaria, jogo do acerte o desenho, jogo da Libras em ação, que é parecido com a imagem em ação. E por meio dessas atividades divertidas, a gente leva a possibilidade das pessoas conhecerem a língua brasileira de sinais, conhecerem a cultura, a beleza da cultura surda. Então, além do jogo de baralho, jogo físico, a gente também tem um aplicativo que é gratuito e você pode baixar no seu celular, computador, tablet, é livre para todo mundo, para criança, para adulto, para ouvinte, para surdos, né? E aí, a gente fala que o Librário, ele é um convite a gente mudar e aprender uma nova forma de comunicar, que é pelas mãos. Então, a gente fala que falar, é um convite a falar com as mãos e ouvir com os olhos. Então, é um convite a pensar na diversidade, na inclusão de todos, independente da língua que fala, né? É mostrar que todo mundo merece ser incluído em todos os espaços. A beleza da diversidade. Bom, espero que curtam o Librário, baixem o aplicativo, curta a gente na rede social, @jogolibrário. E é isso. Qualquer coisa, eu e Rita estamos à disposição. Beijo e até mais. Obrigada.
Okay, so this is a game that was created because it was actually a request from a deaf person that I know. We are trying to help them to learn in the schools, and you are trying to create tools to help them on the learning process. And one of them told me, well, what I really would like is that you learn my language. Why I do have to learn yours? And I thought that was a good point, because it's very easy for us listeners to learn to sign, but it's very complicated for deaf people to learn how to read lips. And so that's what we aim with this game. It's mostly directed to the listeners, not to the deaf people, so that we can learn how to sign and then we can communicate with them. And with this project, I think we are going to leave you because it's already 9:33 and we were supposed to stop 3 minutes ago. So I'll leave the floor to Ezio if you want to make his final word so that we can. And before he say, I would like just to thank you very much, first of all, for all my students who have presented their work here and for being here. And thank you for all of you who came to listen to us. I was very happy to have you all here, and it's good to share with you. Thank you, Teresa, for making this desk, and Ezio for making this desk coffee happens, because I think this is very important. It's important for us to share with everyone. And, you know, this network exists because of Ezio, but it also exists because of all of you that come, and that it will keep working if we keep exchanging our ideas and we keep talking. So thank you all for this. Your mic is off, Ezio.
Okay. Thank you, Rita, and thank to everybody. One thing on the tourism, I think that you are a little bit too rosy on tourism. Tourism is probably the most polluting industry in the world, and the one that also is destroying communities everywhere. So tourism can be good, but we know now that we have to be very attentive toward what is tourism. If I will if I heard well, Rita was saying that you worked on community-based tourism in the past. And for me, community-based tourism is the best way to consider tourism. And afterward, if I well understood, in your new project, you're ending up in a strategy to give value to the Kasasha. I've understood correctly. Yeah, good. And this is also good. It could be a very interesting project, how to give value to something that maybe do not have enough value. And this could be also useful for the people that produce it. So if that would be one project, for what I understand, I personally like it. In some way, it was, as opposed to what Rita was saying, is the video that I didn't like it so much, because the video was really a kind of, yes, everything has to be designed, we know, so everything is the intersection with design. So if we try to do something with tourism, we have to use our design tools. But well, in my view, I normally don't use so much the notion of experience, because everything we are doing an experience also now, even though we have not designed the Desis Café as an experience design, but we are doing an experience. But in any case, this is not the place to make this kind of discussion. I only wanted to say tourism is not only a kind of beautiful industry that yes, it appears. It could be very, we have in Italy cities that have been killed by tourism. And Venice is not a city anymore. Florence is in very big difficulties. So we have, even Milano is transforming itself. It's becoming a place where people cannot live anymore. People have to move away from Milano because it became a kind of touristic attraction, and all the prices changed. So we have to be aware that tourist is good. I like to be tourist sometimes, and all of us like, but we have to find a way to reorganize the notion of tourism in a way that will be not only less polluting, because this is simple, how to polluting, but less dangerous for the health of the societies in place. And this is even more important when the society are maybe not big cities, but small villages. In any case, I'm sure that you will take in account all these issues. So now to finish, I want to say one point. The Desis Café is very informal meeting, and I like a lot to listen all the project. I would like also to say that not all the projects are projects of design for social innovation, and you are not obliged. So design for social innovation is not that all the design has to be designed for social innovation. So for sure, the technical one of this oxide was not designed for social innovation. That was very obvious. No need to be tell it, but this do not mean that design for technical innovation can be very important. But also some other project was not necessarily. So I say not to disregard the projects, but just to say we use this meeting also to better understand what we are doing. So to be a design for social innovation, it should not only generate social change, but also in some way be based on social change. So practically every action that we do in the society generates some social change. Afterward, we can say, yes, but we want a good social change. So this is what is called normally social design. And social design is design for some social good. For instance, the last one, the game for the deaf, for sure is social design. And I like it a lot. Not necessarily is a design for social change, because it's not necessarily designed for social innovation, because it do not necessarily change something. It depends. Maybe the game could be organized in a way that changes something also in the society around the deaf, and maybe it's also promoted by the fact that people organize themselves in a different way. So design for social innovation is not all the design, and also is not all the social design, but is a social design that in some way start or interact with the activity of the people. So you need to have people not only as a final user, but also as somebody that is part of what has to happen and what you are going to design. So for instance, and I don't want to, it's not a judge, it's only for the sake of the discussion and to use this opportunity that we have to clarify some point. Maybe this is my opinion. Of course, you can have a different opinion. But the first one, the one with the 3 projects with the girls in the school, the students in the school, it was very peculiar, very, in some way, also simple as a design, but very important by the meaning, and everything was done by the people. So it was a social change. It was a social innovation because it has never been seen that the students in university organize themselves and design to make a project about their condition and create a group, create a team. And so that one, in my view, is a good example of design for social innovation, because you have a social reorganization in the school that happens. The one of the game for the deaf is probably a very important, maybe even more important project. And maybe it has been very well designed. It's very clear what is the design component in it. And for the deaf, it will be super important, but not necessarily it's something that has been thought by the designer and do it, and maybe it works. So it's a social design. It's using design tool to make something good for the society, but it's not necessarily done on the basis of some new kind of social interaction. And I will stop here. And I'm very happy to have met you all. For me, it has been useful because, as I said, with Rita, we know each other since so many years. So, you know, when maybe we are not, I was not in any case. And what has been, Desis changed. That once upon a time, we knew each other more or less. All the Desis lab was very well known by the others. Now it's not anymore like this. And also now I have the opportunity to meet this lab since maybe 15 years. And this could be good also for the others. So I also invite you to participate to the other Desis lab, because it could be also an opportunity to meet somebody that do something similar. As you know, one of the this Desis Café is very basic. It's very simple, very basic. There is nothing that is so mandatory to happen afterwards. But of course, the idea would be to create a link and to create at least a link, as you have done with on the design against crime. And I'm so happy for this. It will be fantastic if who is working, Josanna, that is working on this market, who could met maybe somebody in Milano that are working in the market in Milano. If you want, I can give you afterward the link if you don't know them.
Sure, we'd love that.
Maybe there are many others. And also maybe not only some link between 2 labs, but maybe to find some topic that could be interesting for many people, and start what we call a cluster. And this will be the best. So now in this moment, for some reason, we don't have really clusters that are working. And this is a pity. We have had several clusters. And we could have, for instance, on tourism, could be a very interesting cluster. Try to put together all those that are working on tourism, just to make an example. But this is up to you. So it's not that we or Teresa or Giselle can do this. So nice to see you, the ones that are still here. And I hope to see you also in presence in the future. And thank you.
Yeah, well, just a little word, because Flavia is not here to present her work from the game for the deaf people. Actually, this is a project that has been working for, I think, 15 years now, and it has made an effect. It has made a social innovation, because after we started with this game, we have developed many others games, and people are starting, like, it's like the deaf were kind of invisible, and people started to listen, well, with their eyes, of course, to the deaf, and started to notice that they exist, that this community exists, and they are starting to be more important in society, and they feel that, and they are very happy about that, and they are more active, and they are happy, and other things are popping up to show that deaf people exist, and they have a whole in society, and they have a word to say, and that they are important, that they can work off anything else. So it really it was a kind of a starter of a movement, and especially here in our town, we can see now lots of things happening. For example, nowadays, you don't have anything without someone signing for the deaf, and so it made a difference. It really made. Maybe it wasn't that clear when she presented, but it really made it is an innovation. Even with people, for example, when there is a chorus singing, there is someone translating the lyrics of the song for the deaf. So it makes a difference. Yeah, nowadays here.
Okay, thank you, and good evening for me, good morning for you, and see you soon. Ciao.
Thank you. Bye. See you next month. Thank you, Gisela. Brigadinho. Depois, se você puder mandar o link, Gisela, do YouTube para a gente subir no nosso canal também, tá? Obrigada. Tchau. Obrigada, menina.